For people who have children and those who want children, this video is probably going to be upsetting, but that doesn't mean that what's being said isn't true. In fact, if we look at the whole thing objectively, what I'm saying becomes a lot more obvious. To begin with, on the most basic level, when people have children, they don't really consider the child. The whole idea and process of having a child is all about the parents. This is why people who can't even afford to have children still have children. The vast majority of people never consider what kind of world their child will live in and what kind of experience they'll have while being here. Most people don't even understand basic things about the world they bring children into. For example, the average person doesn't realize that voting is not only pointless, but it actually encourages the system that's enslaving them and will also enslave their children. They don't realize that taxation is not only theft, but it's also the funding of wars that bring an end to the lives of other people's children who also just blindly had children while living in a war zone. The things I've mentioned so far are just the tip of the iceberg, and they are things that you don't even need to research. If you have just a little bit of intelligence, you know that the things I have mentioned so far are true. Unfortunately, people don't know that by having children, they are bringing them into a world where, according to the FBI, every 40 seconds a child goes missing. And this is just a symptom of a much deeper issue because we live in a world where the people in positions of power, like presidents, prime ministers, CEOs, and so on, are friends with people like Jeffrey Epstein and Jimmy Savile, who are now both dead, but that doesn't mean that people like them somehow suddenly stopped existing.
We start with multiple breaking news developments on Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein.
I can't even go deeply into this particular aspect of why having children is inconsiderate because YouTube makes it so that this topic gets your video either removed, shadow banned, or demonetized. In other words, they basically discourage people from exposing the topic of which is why I even have to censor this part of the video, which further proves my point about how having children is inconsiderate because you're essentially bringing them into a world where the powers that be protect and on top of YouTube doing their part to protect them, the average person thinks this is all a conspiracy theory and so they dismiss it whenever you bring it up. To quote Credo Mutwa, the Zulu shaman, the best way to protect something is to deny its existence, which is what most of the world does. Another reason why having children is inconsiderate is wage slavery. Most people don't enjoy their jobs, which is what they spend most of their lives doing, and yet they have children while being fully aware of the fact that their children will have to work a shitty job just like their parents and almost everyone else. Is that being considerate? I'm sure some people who watch this video may say that if people stopped having children, then humanity would go extinct. And my response is, why shouldn't a race of beings that allows themselves to be governed by go extinct? For literally thousands of years, humanity has been controlled by the psychopathic few who see them as nothing more than dumb sheep. And the very few people who wake up and point this out are opposed by the masses. So if humans are going to remain asleep and choose to allow themselves to be governed by criminals, why shouldn't they go extinct?
I think human consciousness was a tragic misstep in evolution. We became too self-aware. Nature created an aspect of nature separate from itself. We are creatures that should not exist by natural law.
That sounds god-fucking awful, Rush.
We are things that labor under the illusion of having a self, this accretion of sensory experience and feeling. Programmed with total assurance that we are each somebody, when in fact everybody's nobody.
I wouldn't go around spouting that shit I was you. People around here don't think that way. I don't think that way.
I think the honorable thing for our species to do is deny our programming. Stop reproducing. Walk hand in hand into extinction. One last midnight, brothers and sisters opting out of a raw deal.
So, what's the point of getting out of bed in the morning?
I tell myself I bear witness. The real answer is that it's obviously my programming. And I lack the constitution for
My luck, I picked today to get to know you. 3 months, I don't hear a word from you, and...
You asked.
Yeah, and now I'm begging you to shut the fuck up.
I get a bad taste in my mouth out here. Aluminum.